Hey, MegaJeff here. Time to look at just a fun little thing. I'm just looking back at albums that would be 10 years old this year. So these are albums from 2015. These are albums that I have on vinyl. We're talking just vinyl today. Things that were purchased 10 years ago. Now I'm breaking it up into a bunch of little subsections because actually there's quite a few albums, that came out, and I don't want to make this too terribly long. And I want to give a little detail. I had to look back at some of these and just kind of get an idea, look at the history or where they fit into things. And, it's kind of interesting to see because a lot of these are bands that have been going for a while. Obviously, I tend to be more into bands that are classic than I am into necessarily brand new modern bands. But we'll see because we run across a couple of them too. Anyway, Armored Saint, Win Hands Down. So, I was a huge Armored Saint fan back in the 80s. Then John Bush left, went to Anthrax. Take it or leave it. I mean, he did some pretty good stuff there. I was still an Armored Saint fan. He came back in like 2010 and got together with them and released an album, La Raza, that album there that I don't have on vinyl. And then 5 years later, Win Hands Down. And then like 5 years later, they did another album, which I do have on vinyl. But so this would be like the second John Bush Returns album. So, cool stuff. I still gravitate heavily towards the earlier 80s stuff, but, I still appreciate what they do regardless. So there you go. This is, and I'm not sure. They were supposed to come on tour here, was it a year or two ago, with Wasp, and then the show got canceled or something. So anyway, would love to see them live one day, but have yet to see them live. So there you go. That's one. And here's one that's going to be a little more obscure for people. Ancient Evil by Cage. It was interesting because while I was straightening up my room the other day, I ran across, when I bought this album, it came with one of those like nylon banners, big banners, and I found that the other day, it was in a box they had, so I haven't hung it up yet. But anyway, Cage, California band, power metal band. If you're not familiar with them, I've been familiar with them for a handful of years. Hell Destroyer, one of my favorite albums, but they've been around. This is like their 7th album. Vocalist Sean Peck, he's done this. He's been part of the 3 Tenors releases. Just a powerhouse vocalist. He did some work with Warrior for a little bit of time. That band Warrior from the California band that he did some work with them. They never recorded anything, but he was working with them a little bit. He's done a lot of other side projects. There's a couple he did with the guys, the guitar players or whatever, the guys from Merciful Fate. I have their stuff either digitally on CD, but I don't know if there's been a vinyl release. But he gets around. Sean Peck gets around. This is actually the 7th and last album by Cage in 2015. Now in 2017 they did re-record part of an earlier album and release it, but it's technically just they redid all the drums and everything else has been remixed and remastered, so it wasn't really a new album. This is like the last studio album by the band, and again, just power metal, melodic, high range vocals there. Just some great stuff. If you're not familiar with the band, check them out. Like I say, this is their like 7th album. They've only got a handful of them on vinyl. And then this, totally related, again, Hallowed Ground by Death Dealer. Again, Sean Peck. Now this was a side project. This is a second Death Dealer album. Sean Peck. It had Ross the Boss, on guitar, formerly of Man of War. So it was kind of like a project. A bunch of other musicians that worked together with them, and they did an album in like 2013, which I have up there, and then they did this album, and then there's a third album which is more of an EP. So not sure if it's a fully functional band or if they just did a few albums there. I know that Ross the Boss has done a lot of other things. This one comes with a cool poster and everything, with this one that folds it out and everything. Interesting. Just again, more power metal. Very much along those same lines as Cage. Great stuff that I've really enjoyed. I love Sean's vocals, and so anything that he does, I try to get my hands on. All right, now this one's a little tricky in here. We Bleed Metal by Chastain. This is We Bleed Metal 2017. It's a 2015 album, We Bleed Metal. It's got Leather on vocals. She came back the album prior to this. This is the next one in 2015 with Leather Leone on vocals. I love Chastain, love that stuff. In 2015, they released We Bleed Metal. In 2017, they totally like re-recorded a lot of it, remixed it, re-recorded, and all that. So this is the same album, but it's been redone in 2017. So it kind of doesn't sort of counts that. So, and they've got new cover art. The other cover art was more of a red. I do want to get the original on vinyl. It is available, but it's not easy to find nowadays. And so this one was. So technically, We Bleed Metal is a 2015 release. They got redone and reissued 2 years later, but the songs and everything from 2017. I love Chastain. One of my favorites, guitar shredder guys all along. And then the last one we're going to look at is good old Def Leppard. Long time since they had done any kind of new original music. This came out. I like it. I mean, you know, it's modern Def Leppard. And then it was a long time, of course, before we saw another one, you know, just in the past couple years, another studio album. Been lots of live releases, lots of reimagined stuff with the whole symphonic stuff that they've done over the years. But as far as totally new music, you know, we've only seen like the 2 albums in quite a few years. And this one was it from 10 years ago. And yeah, I liked it. It was, you know, it is what it is. But when it came out, I think I bought it on CD and listened to it quite a bit. And I said, yeah, you know, I think it's a great album. And so then when I got back into vinyl, a couple years later, I tracked it down to get that. So I enjoy it. You know, I enjoy Def Leppard. I am one of their fans of most everything they got. I don't have that symphonic album. I've heard a couple pieces of it, and it didn't do much for me. Have it on my wish list. If it drops in price, which it still hasn't, then I might get it. But as of now, it's still kind of up there, and I'm just not convinced it'll get a lot of plays. So I have not jumped on that. And there's quite a few of the live albums that have come out that I just haven't been able to afford, or again, be nice to have them in the collection, but not necessarily something I feel like I'd be listening a lot to. So I pick up what I can when I can, but the studio albums, you know, I definitely want to try to get a hold of. So anyway, that's about it. I'll cover more in the next video, and I'll see you then. Rock on and rock hard.